yeah, 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 come on. Yeah, 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 come on.
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, and welcome to another episode of my story here at Eat Sleep Media. Delighted as ever to be here. Big thanks to them for hosting me, having me, whatever you want to say. And I'm delighted to be joined for the second time for me, for the first time for you, by Welsh Champion, Mr. Kieran Gething. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Si. I'm good. I'm in the middle of a camp now, pushing forward for another title, hopefully.
There we go. You've got a collector, mate, isn't it?
Yeah,
Belt collector, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
And author.
Yeah,
Promoter.
Yeah.
Father.
Father's the important one.
No, that's it, mate. Husband, nearly.
Yeah.
Husband,
husband,
yeah.
Husband for
There you go.
now.
That's in the list somewhere. We won't clarify where in the list.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely will number it.
We'll just say it's in the list. So it's all right. So obviously, for people who don't know, you come in towards the start of this year, wasn't it? And unfortunately, we had a bit of a problem with the recording, which was a shame because we had a real good crack. And it was a real good one. We had a good chat, like. So we might circle over some of that stuff, but there's plenty to discuss in the meantime. But the last couple of online shows I've done, I've decided I'm just going to mix it up a bit. And instead of starting like the usual, they're like, oh, go into your story, blah, blah, blah. What's your favourite TV show?
I do like a bit of Rick and Morty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
I like, what did I watch? Do you know, I watched Ricky Gervais's, like, see all his series on Netflix recently again. For about 20 minutes. Afterlife and Derek and that.
Yeah.
It's weird though, like that Derek got loads of criticism for like saying
Just
that he
looks
was
like a
mocking.
nonsense,
Yeah. But it's like like people are saying he's taking a piss out of like disabled people and stuff.
Oh,
but it's
right.
like people who are saying that are like also they like they haven't watched it because it's very clearly not like if you watch like. Even if you just watch like the first couple of episodes, it's clearly not that. But people just want to fucking moan about something.
Everybody loves to moan about something. You could do everything right, and someone, especially online, will find a reason to be upset.
Yeah, I tell a story quite often. Like when I shaved I had long hair, so I had like ponytail, and I shaved it. And when I shaved it for charity, 2 charities, mental health and like wigs and then sending the hair to make wigs for kids, and fucking some guy. So like on the last day of it, like the day I was gonna shave it, I got like a green screen and that. So I was like, I'll just do some fun stuff like with the green screen, and then every time someone donates something today, I'll fucking just trying to raise some more money. And some fucking dickheads who didn't follow me, didn't subscribe to any of my stuff. Had never interacted with me before, sent me like a private message telling me how I was an attention-seeking cunt.
Oh my god.
Fuck off, mate. What have you got against kids with
Mental,
cancer or like mental health problems? Just
like,
crazy, mate.
People
this is a
are
weird
looking
world,
for a
isn't it?
reason to be upset.
And I'm sure like the more promotion which you do boxing, you'll have people moaning about something.
Mate, my first one, I had 5 or 6 people complain to my partners about the show. And they didn't even turn up to the show. There were people who wasn't even there complained about the show. And I was like, how can you justify that? And then there was one person there who actually went and complained about it. And he's like a rival promoter in the area. He does it nice and shit. He's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's just a guy who's complaining because you're competition and he's just taking it.
I see what I say.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was
what
really glad.
What was the other ones complaining about, like?
Because we only had 4 fights on there, I think it was. But at the end of the day, we had a load of pullouts on the week of the fight. On the week before, can't be out. Would they rather the show get cancelled?
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
What you're supposed to do, like you can't. You're beholden to the fighters and to a certain degree. If they can't fight,
the people who bought all tickets, but arrange travel, all different things to come to it, looking forward to it, and then would the week of a fight just pull out, just cancel it because it hasn't got enough bouts now?
And then it's the same like those 4 or 5 fights which are on. Like, what do you tell those fighters?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you can't fight because
no one else is there and I'm going to lose money. But tough shit, it's part of the game.
got to build it up, mate, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then, like,
exactly.
yeah, people just got something
But
to moan about always.
everyone else who I know personally that went there, whether they're just being polite to me or not, but I'm pretty sure it was a good crack. It was a wicked atmosphere. We had a couple of different things there, different setups to normal, different venue to what people normally use, and you know, I won a new title in my hometown.
Yeah,
What the fuck would I
one
want
was
that?
one. Like, yeah, everyone I spoke to about it, just in passing, really, like, they all said it was wicked.
Yeah.
And they had a great time, like, and everything which I seen online was people praising it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you got to go on, innit? Because
Yeah.
there's always going to be one or two people.
And the one or two people though are the ones you think about before you go to bed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course
Everyone
it
can say how amazing it is, but it's just they're the ones that fuck you off.
Oh,
like.
mate, 100%. I could put a podcast out or a video out or something, and you could have like 15. Oh, this is wicked, great interview, whatever. And then there's just this one guy who's like, oh, this host is a dick. Or he's a fucking,
He might be right,
Yeah.
but still, it
Yeah.
gets you down.
It just sticks with you, doesn't it? Like, you ignore all the nice ones. Not ignore them, but like, they go past your
Yeah.
subconscious, and then you're just like, why the fuck do you think that?
Yeah. Oh, I stayed up for 2 days thinking about a couple of different things people have said about it, and it's just pointless comments. Absolutely meant nothing.
Yeah, and it's like, people always be like, oh yeah, do it bad. You do it then.
Yeah, have a crack, I do.
Put it on. See how stressful it is.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Because was that your first sort of delving into promotion and that?
Yeah, I
It's a
done
different side to it, isn't it?
big time. I done an amateur show before, so I had an idea of what it was going to be like. But you have a lot less financial sort of burden in an amateur show, obviously. And yeah, I had a vision for how everything I wanted to go, and the only things that really let me down with it, everyone else letting you down with it. And normally I just push past it and be like, oh, I'll get it done myself. The things I couldn't get done myself, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes it more difficult then, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because
you're relying on people. But
yeah.
the next one now, I've shown a template of how I wanted to run to the guys who were involved with the event, and hopefully they just take it on board and can see what it's supposed to be, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, like with anything, innit, is once it gets to a certain level of or size, you have to delegate to people, whether that's because they know what they're doing in that area, or whether you just you can't do everything.
Mate, I got such a big fight on for this one.
Yeah.
I'm boxing a boy who, when I turned over pro, he won the amateur title that I held. He won it twice in a row as a senior, won medals abroad and all, and now he's 12 and I was a pro. I can't be running around like I was on
You can't.
the day of the
You
fight,
can't
like.
take your eye off a ball.
No.
It's what was the hardest thing about going back to that one, like the one that you've just done? What was the hardest thing about the whole experience, do you think?
Trying to communicate how I wanted it to look to other people. It's like in my head, I've got this vision. I'm like, but I know that's got to be here. That's got to be here. That's what I want. That's what I want. And then they come in. And they go, well, what if we do this? Or they turn up and you say, I want it like that, and then you come back and nothing fucking right. Nothing's how you wanted it anyway. So the communication was a big part of it, and I think having people on board sooner this time, because I burdened all the responsibility and organised everything and didn't share the info with other people. So I think getting that across for the next one is going to be big, and the difficult part is going to be going to other venues and doing it as well. Cause it's like easy enough to show someone how to do it twice in the one venue, but if you have to go to a different one and need not the same setup, and they go, oh, what the fuck do I do now? You've got to try and make that vision seen as well.
Yeah, and I guess like obviously it's in your like home area as well, isn't it? In your hometown and that. So it's like once you delve out with that, I suppose it'll have another set of
problems,
problems and issues, I guess, isn't it? But it's interesting, like, because what made you think, you know, being a father and a fighter and a trainer, that wasn't enough stuff for you to do? Like, you needed a bit more stress in your life.
Boxing, it is my life, you know. Boxing on a guide, I got on t-shirts and stuff now. It means boxing in the blood, and that is basically what it is. I've had my businesses and stuff where I've been able to get my family to the town that I want to be in, which is, you know, my hometown. We moved away when I was a kid. But I brought my family back there now, and got my gym set up there. And for me, boxing is probably the future now. Like, you know, whether that be management, promotion, fighting still myself, training amateurs, and I enjoy having sort of responsibility on my shoulders, and I was missing that a bit because I was quite a little bit unwell before the start of the year. A couple of difficulties mentally because my one of my businesses went downhill through not real fault of my own. Maybe I didn't delegate properly there again, but it got me to where I want to be, and boxing refocused me, and for me to get me to be able to box in my hometown that I wanted to do, it was me that I had to take the responsibility on. So pushed off.
I mean, do you think you would have had a show there if you hadn't done it yourself?
No, definitely not, because there's no other fighters in the area. I was basically carrying the show. We pulled ticket sellers from all over, and the second one now, all of a sudden the manager said, "Do you want my boy on there? Do you want my boy? Do you want this?" So,
well, yeah, that's the nature of it, isn't it? Is once you do one successful,
build it and they will come.
That's it, mate.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think
we've got lads coming over from Ireland now. We've got like 2 fighters from over Ireland, English fighters, Welsh champions, all over the cards. So.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like you say, that you build it, they'll come. And I think, but then it's also you want to be loyal to the ones who supported you when you had, you didn't have that proof of concept. Almost.
100%. The guys who were boxed on the undercard on the first one of them in particular, he's boxing on it again. He's getting a step up on this one, and I've promised him, trying to get him a title as soon as I can down the line. As soon he does this one well. And yeah, I do really reward loyalty. Even the people who bought tickets to the first show, is getting like 15 quid off the next tickets they buy to the next show. Do you know what I mean?
That, mate. I'm a big believer in that, like in rewarding loyalty and stuff like that, because like even for me with the podcast and the channel and stuff, like when you're trying to get your stuff out there, your name out there, your whatever guests, and like there's people who are like will really support you, and they'll come and they'll go out with their way to do what they can do to help you. There's others who will do the minimum share and whatever, and then there's others who will just pretend like you don't exist. But then when you have like a really big guest, or when we were in the process of just starting to put together like doing a live show and stuff, then it's funny, the people who haven't really got behind you or supported you, like maybe you thought they would, they're the first ones who come asking for like tickets and the rest of it, which is interesting. But it is what it is. I get it, like life's hard, busy and the rest of it, and I think like I always say, like if your mate's got like a cafe or a burger van or something, like go support it, but don't go there to get free food. Like go there,
give them the extra and give them a tip.
I've never really got it, and like I used to work at a pub when I was like 17, 18, and like I used to give my mates free beers and stuff. That company doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. But like I used to give them like free beer or cheap beer or whatever, and like it's only now when I kind of look back and I was like, fucking hell, I could have got I would have got sacked if they'd found out. And like, it was only a pub job, but as it was, I was actually at that time I was doing like this course to be a pub manager and that.
Oh no!
So like,
could have fucked.
It would have set that back loads, like, but yeah, it is what it is, I suppose.
Having foresight as a kid's a hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's youth, mate. Isn't it? It's like that. Like I see it with my boys now. I got like an 18, a 16, and a 14-year-old, and they think they know everything, and like even
I can't imagine,
mate, even like the 18-year-old who's he's got his head, they've all got their heads fairly screwed on, but like he's an adult, like and like even like I can tell him stuff, and you go yeah and just won't do it. He's got to find it out for himself, which has happened recently, and I'm like, well, I fucking told you that was gonna happen.
Make your bed, isn't it?
But you got to learn for yourself, and as you grow older, as you grow up, and that. So I do get it, but like it's frustrating as hell. As a dad, like, cause you're like, I fucking told you that.
Definitely, we talked about it last time, and like the way that the kids are gonna grow up now with the media.
It's brutal, mate.
Just I couldn't even imagine. I was such a geek as a kid, man. I'd never have had the confidence to do anything if I had people taking pictures of me and shit.
Mate. So I'd have had like two problems really. Like when I was like I know, like up to about like 12, 13, I'd have had that, and then suddenly from about 13, I was just a fucking nightmare,
Yeah.
and like I would have been unemployable by the time I was like 20 because everything would have been on social media, but also like there's pictures and video evidence of everything I ever did, which is a problem. But also, like, I was the sort of kid where, you know, like you sometimes, like, you see these footballers where they'll go back, like someone's gone back 10 years to their tweets still when they're like 14.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the person who, when they were like 14, 15, and I had like Twitter or Instagram or just said all sorts of fucking shit and just like stuff, the first things which come to my head, offensive shit, like. But
I've seen my Facebook like that time hops. What an absolute knob I was, like, do you know what I mean?
It's brutal, mate.
Just complete nonsense to talk about. And like I said, if I'd have had Twitter when I was that age, because Facebook was first one about, wasn't it? If I'd have had Twitter, I'd never have a public profile. Never.
No. Well, I was lucky in that, like, mobile phones kind of where everybody had them. I was about 16, 17 when that happened, because I remember having my first phone when I was working in the pub, like, so it was like, I missed it, but like I look at my kids now and it's like, Jesus, like the pressure of it is brutal. Like you can't even send like a picture to your mate or something or your girlfriend
without it going up everywhere,
because you just know, like, if we break up or if we fall out, look, and that's a hard thing. And even like not even just pictures and stuff, but like just say, like, you go in anyone's WhatsApp groups with their mates, it was brutal, mate. Like the jokes and stuff flying around, but like,
and in like positions like you're saying, like where you've got like big guests or whatever, and you're popular online, or people will find, like, even if they're just outside your friendship group or just inside, they'll find that and they'll share it, and you look like a complete cunt.
And there's jealousy, isn't it? Like if people see you succeeding, or they see you getting like a big opportunity. So I think the mentality of a lot of people these days is like, oh, he's successful. I know stuff about him. I work, you know, papers will sell. Give me a few $100 for that.
Possibly. I'm really lucky that, like, I've got a couple of 2 or 3 like WhatsApp groups and a small group of friends that all still think I'm a dickhead. So this is really positive for me. And
if no one likes you, if no one likes you when you're not famous, when you get famous, then don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still gonna like you. That's a good plan. I like it.
Yeah.
I might have to. I've been working on that for 20 years. just make myself as dislikable as possible.
Yeah.
So what was the build-up like to that fight then? Because obviously you were doing the promotion side of it. You were trying to get everything right with it regards to the show and everything. You were contacting people like media and stuff, and they were ignoring your messages like I did. I literally seen that message yesterday. I was like, oh my.
But yeah, it's
But you were doing a lot.
Yeah.
But then also preparing for a fight.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, it's got to be difficult.
It was tasking, but like I said, I was unwell to start the year, and it really helped me to focus back onto things, like, do you know what I mean? And I went sort of back down the old track of, I used to do this to get sponsors, now I'll do it to get media appearances. And I used to, you know, wake up at 5 a.m, go to work, come home and train till 8 at night, like, do you know what I mean? So I can do the training. I knew I could do it. And that's sort of helped me refocus, and I feel in a better position to do it now. And when we had actually pull out of the first fight, or the last show, sorry, he was supposed to fight Yaxley then, but he pulled out of that a week or so before. We had a late notice opponent. I knew I was going to be much better prepared for him, so it took a lot of pressure off at the end there. But had it been sort of cranked up right to the end, I think I might have, you know, sort of stressed out a bit too much.
It's a lot then, isn't it? Like, just a lot of different things to think about, and like that's when mistakes happen, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's when you make mistakes in fights you should win, or little things with the promotion that you know you should do, or whatever. Like that's when those little things can get missed. Yeah. Or you slip up and you get knocked out, or whatever. And
it's a brutal one to slip up in, isn't it?
but that's how it happens, isn't it? Is when you're trying to do too much, and like how much you learn from that first show, do you reckon?
A lot. I'm a lot more at ease and knowing what the procedure is and all that for the next one now, and knowing that like I said, people jumping on the bandwagon now.
Mm-hmm.
I know
But that's
that
a
they're
good
gonna
thing
be,
as well,
yeah,
because
exactly.
you know
I
it's
know
done
they're gonna be more prepared themselves, because they know it's not a Mickey Mouse piece of shit. You know, I'm trying to do it properly and trying to get the best coverage. We'll be announcing a broadcaster in the next like 10 days as well. I think a little pay-per-view thing, but it'll be a bit like the apps, you know, like the Zone apps and all. It's going to be on one of those, and yeah, it's just all positive going forward, and as long as it all comes off how I want it to, it'll be able to be sustainable, you know.
Yeah, I suppose that's the hardest thing, is getting people to see your vision of what you want. Just trying to communicate that to people.
Be happy about it, like you said. Instead
because
of
it is hard sometimes when you're trying to, like, you've got it in your head how you want something, and this is going to look like this, and I'm going to do this with it and that, and then you tell someone else, and they do it, and they do it completely different. And it's problematic though, isn't it? Because the bigger the shows get, the more people you're going to have to like delegate to, and the more people involved, which is then it just becomes like a...
I win this one now, and it could be like European title type of thing next, and that's a massive step up again. Like, I'm pretty much going to have to be hands off and make sure that the guys on the team pull their weight and do their part, you know.
So did it all go smoothly?
The first one? Yeah, actually, it did actually.
No problems on the night.
I think there was one situation that was brought up on the night, and that was about the lighting in there, and if you've seen any of the footage, you know, there's absolutely no problem with the lighting at all. There was the board that were a little bit troubled by it, but they were problematic right the way through. From what Mo said to me, and it was a good job I had people like Mo Pryor and Rich Garner with me on it, because they were keeping me relaxed about things, avoiding telling me things until afterwards.
Well, yeah, that's what you need, isn't it? Because you don't want to be waiting or preparing for your fight, sort of half an eye on some of the other fights or whatever, and you're just kind of looking. You don't need someone going, oh, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this person's doing that.
Yeah.
Fucking lights not working, the camera's not working. And then you walk up, and then the guy knocks you out.
In about fucking half a minute. Yeah, don't want that.
Staring at the lights.
But this one, like I say, I am fully focused on fighting. The guys.
Will it be the same venue?
Same venue, so it's another weight off your shoulders there. The guys who we had the venue off are happy with us going forward again, where they were a bit tentative at first. Biggest complaint we had was that the bar was fucking hard to access. We was like, well, we were told not to get everyone pissed too quickly, so this time we got 2 or 3 bars there. But it'll be a cracking night, man. We could have like up to 1,000 people here. We sold 400 tickets off 4 fights the first time, and this one we've got like 12 fights, so I'd be happy to do 1,000 to 1,200, and if we do that, it's going to look great on the cameras. It's going to be great atmosphere on the night, and your boy's going to take on 2 more titles. What the fucking more do I want now?
Yeah, just building it up and up and up. That's what I like to see, mate.
Yeah.
What in terms of the fights, like how much of a step up do you feel like this opponent is from that one?
From the last one, massive step. Yeah, massive step up. I mean, I've been at a higher level than this before, I'd argue, maybe, but he's also got an undefeated record, you know. He's going to be fully confident in it. He's having a warm-up fight, I think, June the 4th, so I'm praying he don't get cut in that one, but his manager wanted him to sell tickets on his show, I think. But as far as like the standard I've gone against before, he's probably up there with him. He's a very good amateur. He's going to be really confident. He hasn't done the 10 rounds yet, which is good for me. He's only been 8 rounds, and he's not been in there with someone who's going to be trying to take his head off. So that's why I'm hoping I bring his confidence, his experience, and I'm a skilled boxer as well at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think I always find it interesting with boxing, because I think sometimes it can be hard to judge for people, because from people from the outside or like casual fans on like the kind of smaller shows, but with like a boxer like yourself, you know, main eventing or whatever, because I think it's easy from the outside to think, never quite know what to expect from the opposition, because like you see on some of these shows around the UK, like you see the journeymen and people who are literally just brought in to be a body, like
the opponents don't often get publicised. That's what you're saying, but that's what I'm trying to avoid with our promotions. Me and Sean have got some head-to-heads. And me and Sean have got some head-to-heads off different podcasts and all. We're going to be doing some face-to-face type of stuff that'll not just bolster my profile. It's not just about me.
No.
This is about the fight. This is about the event, and there's a couple of guys who went to the Commonwealth who are boxing on the undercard. There's, like I say, other professional champions on the card. It's not just all about being one-sided, whereas, like you say, a lot of smaller shows do get one-sided, but I've got the sort of ambition where I don't want to be small hall. I want to be, but not necessarily I don't want to be small hall, don't mind boxing the small venues. I want to have a big outreach.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, and that's how you get the interest from people as well, is because, like, I think that's what, in modern, like in the last probably 10 years, has turned people towards MMA more as well. Is in MMA it tends to be like the best versus the best or whatever, and people, but in boxing so much at the top we see people avoiding each other. And
well, this is what I said previously about MMA, is that it's about 100 years behind boxing, in the sense that that's where boxing used to be. You used to get competitive people fighting each other all the time. And right now you are starting to see journeymen creep into MMA. You know, there are these guys who are gatekeepers, if you like. Yeah. And I think as the sport goes on, it will... It's
like a natural progression almost, isn't it? That you have those gatekeepers.
More money comes into it. What's going to happen? You're going to get more people who want to make careers out of it. Exactly.
You've got to build them in. You've got to build superstars as well, I suppose, when you've got those big companies. And the only way you can do that is by them winning and winning. But also, I think gatekeepers is okay. I think having some gatekeepers in certain divisions and like gatekeepers to the rankings and whatever, that's all right. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because quite often those gatekeepers are people who've been at the top,
done it and come back,
and kind of are on their, their experience, shall we say. But I think it's the kind of those fights where you're tuning in to see whoever, like, next big thing, and he's fighting a guy and the guy can barely move.
It's when they get when they're dusting up Romanian big men, that's the problem.
You get frustrated.
I personally like watching people like Lewis Van Poch. He's a guy who's just retired. He's had 100 odd fights, mostly losses. But if you're not on your game, he will turn it on. He'll give you a good scrap on the night. Like those type of William Warburton, one of the best doing that. Those guys are perfectly acceptable and good, credible people. That's where it should stop. Really, it shouldn't be getting someone who's been knocked out 5 times, beating 10 people up in their own country that are nobodies, and then coming over here and getting knocked out again. You know, that's the thing that's really not the best. But and that's looking at it from a promoter's point of view. That could be a good thing for me. I could find some Welsh kid in the valleys who knocks out 10 people in a row, and I earn 10 grand off him. You know what I mean? But it's something that does need to be sort of tackled in it, and the British Boxing Board do a decent job of it. We have opponents turned down regularly that they say, oh, you're not good enough, you're too old, but then they'll go and make a silly decision for one of the big companies.
Misfit boxing.
Oh man, don't get me started. Thankfully they're nothing to do with the British Boxing Board.
Is it not?
No, they're a PBA, I think it is, Professional Boxing Association. I think they're an American firm. Or they might be a British firm, I don't know, but they sanction that boxing.
Mate, that was we're recording this like the week after the KSI and someone fight.
Joe Fawn,
But like, I had seen like a couple of clips of it, and I was like, fucking hell, it's like.
Do you see the sumo wrestlers in it? Well, they were sumo wrestlers,
fat guys, but it's just the standard was terrible, mate.
They could easily have a heart attack and die. As a professional, if you haven't got much amateur experience, they make you do gym tests. You know what I mean? You've got to show that you're fit enough to do it. So who the fuck said that they're fit enough to do it? What doctors are looking at that and saying that's okay?
But like, and then, exactly that. Like I agree with that completely. Like my old man died when he was 47 from a heart attack. He wasn't like healthy or anything, and he certainly wasn't like a sportsman or whatever. But like, he wasn't like, he smoked and he drank, but he did, he did a bit of sport and whatever and exercise.
He wasn't a massively overbeat.
Yeah, he wasn't like overweight and whatever. And it's like, these guys are like, for their size and fitness, having like a 3-round boxing match or whatever, that's like pushing them to their absolute limits.
People think,
for nothing as well.
Yeah, exactly. And people think, 3 rounds, 2 minutes, whatever. You do 3 1-minute rounds. You see people blowing out their ass. You know what I mean? And that's guys who go to the gym every week because they think that that's the right thing to do. But fitness is a massive issue with these white collar things with the misfit influence of boxing and all that. It's terrible for the sport, man.
I think
Absolutely
that misfits thing, like,
don't get me wrong. I think I've said it previously. The Jake Paul and the KSI
I
stuff,
separate Jake Paul from them
because they're actually trying to be boxers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But these influencer fights, they're absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad look for everyone.
Yeah.
But like,
nothing wrong with an influencer fighting pro boxers or fighting other famous people to try and get to a pro boxing point. Like Jake eventually boxing Tommy Fury, that's him trying to get to a point. KSI boxing Joe Forney. Joe Forney is an ex-professional. That's him boxing to get to a point. What the fuck are they gonna get out of those two fat fellas hitting each other?
Yeah, exactly. There's no end goal there, is there?
No.
But like, what did you make of the KSI finish?
I didn't watch it. I've seen the clip.
It's like a elbow from MMA, man. It's brutal.
Yeah, and by all accounts, I don't think any records have been updated or anything either. So I think they are looking at it.
But from his statement, as of today, like he said, I caught him with a punch, and then when I've come back through, I've hit him with my fist and caught him with my elbow accidentally, which is fine. I don't think he did it on purpose, but like the punch which he catches him with the elbow does not make contact. Like it is just an elbow, like and
well, look,
he did wobble him just before, but it does look like that is the
perfect duck. Is hitting him with a glove and then hitting him with the elbow afterwards, right? That is the perfect duck. But the clip that I saw of it doesn't even do that.
Yeah,
it's pretty much like that. Like you say, it's not. He doesn't mean it. But to be brutally honest, if that had been on a small little show and someone gets elbowed, do you think the referee's going to give a fuck? No one's going to care. It's going to be classed as a KO. If the referee missed it, he's missed it.
No contest after, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
If the fighter complains, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it because they're building towards Jake Paul and KSI now, so they don't give a shit. They just want to move on to them. They moved on straight away.
Can you imagine how much money that's going to be?
Right, they'll make millions, mate. It's insane. Like, and look, whatever you think, I produce a boxing podcast on a Sunday with Ben Doherty and Michael Olajade Jr. And they had the Hilton brothers on last night, which was wild. They were talking about Arturo Gatti, because they like trained him and brought him up. The Hilton brothers did, and Ben asked them if they thought he was murdered, and they were like, "Nope, it was crack."
Oh my god!
It was a clip out of that.
Brutally honest.
Yeah, mate, it was like that. What? That's getting clipped, mate. I don't know, but it was really interesting. Like, if you're like into like old school boxing, they've had some wicked guests on there, like John Conti and stuff like that. But like Ben, who's one of the hosts, like he just cannot talk about Jake Paul. Like he finds it insulting, and I get that. I do get that point of view. But like, to me, is like him and KSI, they've made their money elsewhere. They don't need to do it. Like, and I get people will say, "Oh yeah, just making more money," but I think Jake Paul particularly has genuinely got a love for boxing.
Wants to be a boxer.
And
you see him on the pad, but
decent.
He's
Decent enough, like,
definitely. But he's got to carry power to knock out people like he has. You know, like Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley. I think MMA boys have a different resistance to boxers, but to flatten people like he's flattened them, he's obviously training hard to do it. Like, do you know what I mean?
And the other thing I think is, what people forget when they say, "Oh, he hasn't fought a boxer until he fought Tommy Fury." I think what people forget is it must be quite hard to match him up, because there's no point in him just matching him up against whoever boxer who's not got any name, or
because they're never going to be financially rewarded for it. Probably.
Because like, you know, he might win and great, and no, he won't get the credit for beating someone who no one knows. So there's no point in doing that when you could put him against Ben Askren, or you can put him against Tyrone Woodley twice, or you can put him against whoever else he fights next. Nate Diaz, isn't it? Like, that's a massive fight. Like, that's a mental fight.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for it, only because I want Nate Diaz.
I want to see Nate
Diaz. Yeah. But what people seem to be forgetting is, this is quite funny. Like, I've been watching people going, "Oh yeah, it's just another MMA fight," and I'm like, no, Nate Diaz was a professional boxer before he was a MMA guy. Yeah. The only reason he went to MMA is because he was similar to James Lilly.
Yeah.
Whereby he went to MMA from boxing because he couldn't get a fight, or he got offered a fight in MMA before he got offered a fight for boxing, and it was a case of like, oh, fuck,
go for it.
Yeah, and that was it basically.
Diaz is just a cool.
He's an
dude,
animal,
don't he?
mate.
He's a cool dude, man.
I don't know. It's weird because I think Jake Paul's not that bad as a boxer as people make out.
No.
Not that I think he's like Floyd Mayweather or nothing, but like, I think he's decent enough.
You're basically watching an amateur
Build himself up,
yeah,
isn't it?
that's exactly
Which
right.
is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's just got all the cameras on him as he's doing it instead. And this is where like amateur and pro boxing has sort of a discontinuation. The peak of most sports is the Olympics. You're a professional, you go to the Olympics. You're still an amateur, you go to the Olympics as a boxer, which is mental because they've probably, what they are, 9 times out of 10, better than most of the world champions at boxing. But the 10 rounds you get into it, and that's where you've got to be a fighter to get through them, if that makes sense. So like I say, he's training to be he's an amateur professional boxer. That makes sense? Or not? The best way to say is novice professional boxer. He's a novice building himself up, and he's not bad. He's enjoyable enough to watch. He gets knockouts, and he's a
brings eyes to it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And like people, whether you like him or not, he brings more people know about boxing than they did.
I probably got a +10 more juniors and minis in my gym because of that idiot boxing than Canelo.
Because they've all grown up with that YouTube generation where YouTube's been massive and TikTok and all this shit. So like Jake Paul and KSI are the equivalent of like what Tom Cruise and all these other celebrities were when we was younger. Yeah, which is mental. But it just is what it is, isn't it?
Them, and they got like 20 million eyes just on their own platform.
It's crazy. Did you see the figures they put out? Someone leaked the numbers they've made off Logan Paul and what's his face, KSI, made from Prime. Ahmed is like
the profit of the company.
So they're up to there was like a list of all like the sports drinks in America. So like Gatorade and all these different ones, and I think it's up to like 5 of 10 or whatever. But like it's gone above Powerade now, I think.
What?
And it's like
it's only been out like 2 years, isn't it?
I know. And it's just like obscene, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
If they want to chuck some of that money at our promotions,
get in touch,
lads.
get the Prime promotion. That's what you need. It's mate. It is mental, isn't it? Because they've just built themselves up to like such a level on their YouTube stuff and their podcasts and whatever else they do. Yeah, that like they can bring out a clothing brand or.
Mr. Beast is the one, isn't he? Have you seen him at all? What a man!
He just doesn't spend any of his money, does he? He gives
it
all away, puts it all back into his videos.
And you talk about hate mind, he gets some sort of hate. He's giving houses away to the homeless, and he's still getting hate for it.
Well, the thing is, like, he puts all the money he makes from his YouTube videos, from views, he puts it back into, like, the next video idea or whatever, so they obviously keep getting bigger and bigger, but, like, when someone is doing so much good like that, people want to catch them out, don't they? They want to expose them.
Everyone's trying to find the next Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, well, that's it. But it is like they want to catch him out for something, don't they? They want to they want to be the guy who said, see, I told you he wasn't.
Yeah.
Jealousy, mate, at the end of the day.
Yeah. But
it's a weird one. So, I want to ask you something. You can answer it or not answer it, and if you want to cut it out, you can cut it out. I'm just interested because it's been a hot topic which I've been talking about to a few different people recently. Like, where do you stand on like trans? Gotta get this right. Trans, like men who used to be men and then women coming into like female boxing, because female boxing is getting bigger and bigger. So the way I frame it is, I would have no desire to watch like MMA or boxing and watch you go in and fight a girl or a woman or whatever. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So like that's for me as simple as that. But also, you talk about all the advantages and all that bullshit, and not bullshit, but like all that stuff, and it's like it just becomes like even more reason why. But for me, it's just like come on, man.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's against science at the top and bottom of it, and it's a symptom of too easy of a life, because I've grown up being a boxer. I've been bullied. I've had my father die at a fairly young age. I've had a bunch of different. I've had disability, bunch of different things put in my way, and I've come through. And I'm still fighting. I still like a physical confrontation. I'm still confident doing that, and I've come through bad things. People who are doing this, like this Leah Thomas fella, the swimmer in America. They've probably had nothing bad happen to them in their life. Do you know what I mean? That's just me speculating on using someone's name. But a lot of these people have had nothing bad happen to them in their life, and then they're trying to find a reason to be upset, trying to find a reason to be a victim, and then when they're not as good as they think they are, or they're not as good as they feel they should be, it just swaps sides and I can be better.
That's wrong, mate. And do you know what, right? Like I said, I got 3 teenage boys. And the thing with that Leah Thomas thing, which I found disturbing, was the first time that she like swum against that, I think her name's Riley Gaines, maybe. I might have that name wrong. But she was like the top swimmer in the state or whatever. So they've turned up and they're in the women's changing room getting changed. And she's effectively like looked to the side of her, so like where you are to me now. And that Leah Thomas is there, fucking cock and balls hanging, like, and they're like, at the time, like 15, 16-year-old girls. Like, why is that okay? Like if my son, who's 16, right, my middle one, if he come out of his changing rooms, if he was a girl, say, let's just say, for the sake of it, if he was like, he was in the swimming changing rooms and I'm outside, because I can't go in there, obviously, and he come out and just was like, yeah, I was just getting changed, and like there was like a fucking cock 3 inches from my face, like, I think I'd have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But it just seems to get like scooted over, like, and that's like, to me, is just, it's like clown world. It's just weird, like I don't understand, like,
who is pushing that? Because everyone that I speak to, 1-to-1, I'm part of this group called, I think it's PSA, there's Parents Against Sexual Action or something along those lines, and they handed out leaflets and was showing you what they're actually teaching our kids, or going to teach our kids.
Then. Someone told me something, my mates told me something the other day, and I was like,
who thinks, because everyone, like I said, everyone I talk to thinks it's a completely obscene idea. Who thinks that that's a good thing? Who is it that's making this propaganda?
So, the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that it's like the people at the very, very top, because, well, if you want to distract from all the money you're making and all the things, all the nefarious things you're doing, you got to keep everyone below you fighting.
Yeah.
So for years it was like race and this sort of thing. Years ago it was homophobia, and I'm not saying that those things didn't exist, because they obviously did, but like with social media now, everything gets like pushed so much that it makes you feel like it's like whatever they're pushing, racism, whatever, like whatever they're pushing on the news and on social media, and it's everywhere, it's just like constant. You can't go on any app without being like bombarded with it. So it's like all the trans stuff at the moment, it makes you feel like it's like
so
everywhere
tight.
Like, but actually, like if you look at the percentage of people who are like transgender, it's really like such a small percentage. And most people, like, so for me, like, I don't give a shit what you do behind your closed doors, or what you want to sleep, who you're sleeping with, and whatever. I couldn't give less of a fuck.
It's the influence you have.
Yeah, but don't start telling me like what I've got to do and say, and start like, and then taking it into schools and stuff like that. That's when it's a problem.
It's worrying and tiring. Like you say, it's a smoke screen. I see things that are happening, like the stuff that's happening in Russia. Why is that not? Why do we know what the fuck is going on? Why are we? Oh man, there's kids in schools near me, kids in my boxing gym, that tell me about children in their class being allowed to have a litter box in there because they consider themselves a cat.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, mate.
Instead of a human.
Homeschooling my kids, I would. I would take them out. Just because I just think it's like crazy. It's just scary. So weird, mate. But like,
you indulge our behaviour. What are you indulging in 10 years?
Well, this is it. And the thing is, like, right, is if someone was, so I got a mate, I got two mates who were schizophrenic, right? When they have a schizophrenic episode and they're hallucinating and the rest of it, you don't like start encouraging it and saying, "Oh yeah, you know."
Of course you can hear voices. Of course you can.
Yeah, fucking devil in the corner. It's real,
I
like,
can see it. Yeah, you don't do that, do you?
And then this is it, innit? And that's when when you look at it from a clinical, like factual kind of thing, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, really?
Like, there's a few people that speak sense out there. Not everything I agree with them on, but people like Jordan Peterson, I think he's a great.
If you want to improve your like just any person who wants to just improve themselves, I think he's one of the best people to
He's so
listen
articulate.
to. Yeah,
You can understand him if you're a struggling GCSE student, or you can understand him if you're a lawyer on Wall Street. You know, he's the type of person that everyone should be able to digest. But some of I
but
grew
it's
up
simple
with,
things, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
make your bed and
having
prepare for the day
and having understanding of why you're doing those things, because he breaks down things like you make your bed because it makes you prepared and it makes you close that part of the day and then you move on, different things like that. But J.K. Rowling getting attacked, man, it breaks my heart. I'm a massive fan of Harry Potter, absolutely massive, and like transgender movement, or whatever you want to call it, LGBTQ plus 1, 2, 3, whatever the fuck it is nowadays. They it feels like it's a massive attack on her and a massive attack on her stories and things like that. And they used to identify with it all, and they're on about trying to push her away from being a producer on her own series.
Well, this is the thing, because like
that's affecting my life, big time. Do you know what I mean?
But like, you know, like celebrities, like the actors who were in the original Harry Potter films. So when they want to do they're going to do that TV show, I'm sure at some point over the last few years they've wanted to do some sort of reboot or whatever, or do the play when they make a film. Yeah. So they would have done that, but they didn't, because all the actors, or some of the actors who were involved in it, kind of jumped in and said,
Daniel Radcliffe,
because they want to like virtue signal, and they don't want to be seen to be. They just don't want the heat that she's getting, basically.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, I seen a part of it the other day. He's saying, and I'm massive proponent of inclusivity in my boxing gym. I don't care what colour you are, what size you are, what gender you are, whatever number you are. I don't give a fuck. I just want people to be boxing. I just want people to be included in our community. My tagline for my gym is boxing for the community, right? Because I feel it has so many different implications, not just actually fighting each other, but well-being and so on and so forth. And you could not meet someone who wants to be more inclusive than me. But when you are actively trying to change someone's perspective from childhood, like these gay parents who are saying, my child is transgender. No, they're not. No, they aren't. You get genuine cases of gender dysphoria. You get genuine cases of that. Very, very few and far between. Yeah. It's a mass psychosis, what's going on.
But it's like, I feel like, I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, like, so when I was like a teenager, I went through all sorts of stages, from like shaving my head to dyeing my hair to wearing like baggy trousers and long coats to being a bit of a mod. I had all these different stages, because do you know why? Because I was a teenager flooded with hormones.
Finding yourself.
Trying to find myself, trying to fit in with teenagers who were notoriously horrible anyway.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do, it's hard to fit in, it's hard to find your group of friends which you relate to and have got things in common with, and you might go from a couple of different groups. But do you know what I just found my way, and my parents kind of guided me a little bit and helped me, in the school maybe tried to help. And then there was at one point where I went and seen like a psychiatrist, because I was having a few issues which had kind of gone into behaviour and stuff. But you know what that psychiatrist did? He just said, like, what's bothering you? Right, this and this. Right, how can we deal with that better? Didn't push me to like take Prozac, or didn't push me to, oh, you this or that. And like, I know like a few boys now who are married and stuff, and they got kids, and relatively, happy and whatever, and they've got on and had a really successful life. But when they were like 14, 15, 16, one of them thought he was gay, like.
Could have been anything.
But because he it wasn't like particularly common in the 80s and 90s to be like that.
It was
So
quite,
like he was quite isolated.
not encouraged.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
So he was quite isolated. Not massively, but like a little bit. I'm sure he might say a different thing. But like he was isolated to a certain degree. But you know what? There was no one telling him like you can't do this or you can't, you shouldn't be that. But they also weren't telling him you are this, you are that, and
there's a way things should be,
Yeah,
and
you just gotta let people-
there
let
are
kids grow up.
outsiders, there are anomalies. Let them be where they want to be, but you should encourage them to do what the fuck we're here for. We're here to make babies, isn't we? That's the only reason we're fucking here.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks we've got a greater purpose or there's something overseeing. It's not. You're just an animal. You're making fucking kids to reproduce and keep yourself going.
keep yourself going, keep your family going. It's weird though because like I see a lot of like that J.K. Rowling stuff. Some of the stuff which she gets like said to her is
Horrible.
unreal, mate.
Yeah.
Like
For such a good woman and a
Well,
clever
mate,
woman.
if you went on Twitter or something, right, and you tweeted just some random woman and said, I want to fucking, or you should be fucking raped and killed. And it's like, you should be raped and killed with with my girl dick. That's what I seen yesterday. And I was just like,
Do you know, she could have been... She was
you're kind of
rich
looking
and
around
queen.
waiting for people to go,
Where is this wrong? Yeah.
well, you can't say that.
She could have been. I think she was rich in the Queen, or she was the first billionaire from books or something. She gave off so much money that she's lost that status. She's a good person, like, and you
Crazy,
get, and you like you say, you get attacked from every angle. And there's hatred and jealousy everywhere. And I wish I could come off social media. I can't.
I hate it.
In the nature of my position at the minute. And I'd love to be able to just have enough money where I just go, I bought my house, bought my land, I live off fruits and go to the market once a week. But sadly, I in the fucking world we live in.
Yeah, you need it's been made, haven't it? That to succeed in certain things, you have to have social media now. You cannot do it without it.
No, you'd never find a successful boxer without a fucking without an active account.
Well, especially because the way, in some way, boxing is set up in it, so that when you're sort of before you get to the big time, like you only get on cards if you can sell tickets.
Mate, this is where MMA is going to go in, like I say, like 100 years or whatever, maybe even sooner now, because of how everything is. But
Everything's moving on quicker now.
it used to be a promoter would promote and sell the show, and you'd have to get good fighters on there to sell tickets for your whole show.
Sell tickets for
now-
the fights, don't you?
Promoters don't sell tickets. Promoters give tickets to boxers and expect them to sell tickets.
That's mad to me. When I found that out a couple of years back, like I could not believe it, because I just think this fucking wild, mate. Like-
Could you imagine? You only get paid if you sell enough tickets, and if you don't sell enough tickets,
You won't even be on the
you
card.
not only will you not be on a card, if you get on a card and don't sell tickets, you don't get paid. You pay someone $2,000 to do your 5 or 6 or 4 or 6 rounds, and then the show gets some money because they've
You
sold
pay
money
for
off
your
drinks, so you
tickets
pay
and
for
that.
your ticket, whatever, and you don't get it paid. I've
I
not
didn't
been
realise
paid
that.
3-4 times as a professional fighter.
This is fucking mental, that is.
My career earnings is somewhere near 40, between 40 and 50, I think. So,
No other sport does that. No other sport
You-
forces the young athletes to
pay
pay
their way.
their own way. Because, like, you could be like the Messi of boxing. Like, you could be like 19, like, literally, like, just be like the most talented boxer in the world. But you hate social media, so you're not on social media. Who are you going to sell tickets to?
Mad.
Your family.
Craig Woodruff's a great example. Crap ticket seller. He only got where he's got because of good opportunities and stuff, and good management. But if he could sell tickets, he could have had a something in zero record for a long time. But he fought people like he had to fight Luke Campbell in his 3rd fight or something like that. Fuck, I wouldn't want to fight Luke Campbell in my 30th fight.
No. But it's mad, though, isn't it? Like, that it shouldn't be a thing, should it?
No.
Like, promoters are supposed to promote, don't they? really.
That's what I'm trying to do now.
I don't want to upset you now.
I'm
you
only
have no
giving-
hat on, innit? But like,
I've only
doing
given
your fucking
small
job.
amounts of tickets out to boys
No.
now. I'm not giving them. You have a lot of promotions. I've got to sell like 106 tickets to get on and get any money.
I just don't think it's realistic.
I'm
like-
giving boys 50 tickets. If you need any more, let me know. If not, don't worry about it. I'm promoting the show anyway.
Because the chances are, right, if you're a fighter, like say, you got family, they're going to come, maybe 10, 15 tickets, and then you got your group of mates, maybe another 20 of a push.
The
But not all of them
nature-
can go every week, every time.
The
can they?
nature of being a boxer is you don't go out, you don't go to parties, you stay home and you're a hermit.
You don't go to the pub.
Everyone who sells tickets, this is why white collar boxing is so through the roof. The fucking junkies and the alcoholics sell the tickets.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
why
they're
they-
socialising.
Exactly. So that's why they've got so many fucking assholes doing white collar shows. And not only that, it takes tickets away from professional boxing.
Yeah.
If you've got three white collar shows in your area in the next 3 months, and you've got one professional show where you've got to pay 20 quid more of a ticket, a casual fan isn't going to be asked about going to that show.
It's hard though then, isn't it? Like, how do you change that? The only way to change it is for promoters, to, like, as a whole, to step up and say, do you know what? I suppose if you get like a couple of promoters go, do you know what? Like, I'm the promoter. I want you on my show, so I'm going to pay you to be on my show. Don't worry about selling tickets. If you want tickets, let me know.
But that's the way it goes if you've got a broadcast deal. If. How many people do you think you're out there winning broadcast
Yeah.
deals?
Even less now than it was a couple of years
There's
back.
2 or 3 big companies. I've been busting my nut for fucking 3-4 years to try and get some sort of broadcast deal for Welsh boxing. A, no one's interested in broadcasting Welsh boxing because Wales is a deprived area. B, it's hard to find the contacts for these people. And C, you've got to pay to get it. I've got to pay my production company. Has got to pay cameramen, commentators, this, before I even get the footage to sell to someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this when I got going in the works now that we're going to run out soon, will be the kickstart that I can offer boys purses instead of ticket deals.
Because that's I think once you get a few promoters doing that, that's when it changes, isn't it? Well, that's when it changes from...
You ought to offer a better quality of product, and then ideally you get better...
And I do get it, like, I get that, like, unless you've got, like, you know, a few hundred grand in the bank where you can just go, right, I'm going to do a promotion.
Take a chance, yeah.
And you're going to go, I'm going to do it. I do get it, like, promoters, you know, people putting on the shows, they've got to cover their costs and the rest of it. It just feels like if you're going to have fighters on your show, but they're putting their health at risk and they're training for it and they're cutting weight and they're doing all the things that fighters do, there's got to be a better system than...
I'm taking it sounds a bit more ruthless, but I'm taking the angle of if I can't pay the fighter, I'm probably not going to have them on the show. Even if they sold however many tickets, if their opponent costs so much and they end up with no money, I probably won't let them have the bout because I want to give them something to be able to box. I know how it feels when you go out there and not have anything.
Mate, I can't imagine that, like training and cutting weight and doing the fight and then not getting paid because didn't sell your tickets.
Get paid in limelight, don't you?
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like sponsors coming to me and going, oh yeah, will you promote our product? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. How much is it? Oh, it's this. Oh no, well we thought we'd pay you in exposure. It's like, well, that does fuck all for me, doesn't it? That doesn't pay my electric bill and pay my editor and book a studio and the rest of it.
Exactly, and
I'll just tell them now. So I got a studio. I'm going to pay you an exposure this week. You know,
you're gonna go in the local rag.
that's what it is. That's just ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've got to pay people like for their work. But what about talk to me a little bit about, like, you mentioned disabled. Like, talk to me a bit about your difficulties when you was younger and teenager and the rest of it.
Yeah,
When you were a geek.
Yeah, I'm still a geek now. But I was about 10 or so, and I noticed like my one leg was bigger than the other. It was never really brought up that I can remember. And then it was about 14 when it started affecting me. I was actually in the Welsh team at the time, and I couldn't carry on. Couldn't do running, sprints and stuff. I'd have to be pulled off and do air biking, things like that instead.
Yeah.
But when I got to about 10, it really knocked my confidence, thinking I'm actually different. You know, I'm not. I've got these other boys who are all playing football. I don't go to football, don't go to rugby. I didn't do boxing until I was 12 or 13. And it was a time when I had a lot of bullies on my case. I only had like 2 friends and we played Star Wars on the yard, not have a kick about with the kids. So that was quite a hard time for me. But the reason I'm such a big proponent of inclusivity in boxing is because when I got to 12, 13 then, and I started boxing, started getting a few muscles, the girls realised how handsome I was, and things sort of spiraled from there.
Mates, to be honest. It's remarkable. The first thing I noticed.
But yeah, the confidence builder that they gave me, I ended up, I didn't fight for 18 months, so it was only like 14 when I started fighting. But just being in the gym, being around travellers and stuff, I've been in that atmosphere where I'm actually going and punching these kids in the face, and I know on the street they give me a dusting or something. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I sort of tackled that part of my life. But even now at almost 30, I think it does affect me. I want to go out to wearing a pair of shorts or something. I think, are people staring at my fucking? And I've been on TV, I've been all over on beaches and shit, wear small pants when I go swimming. It does, I'm a confident guy, but even those little nicks still not my confidence. And I think that's what I'm a little bit afraid of when I finish boxing, is when I've got a gut and when I'm a big airy old man, am I still going to be able to carry that confidence in? And I hope being involved with boxing and in some capacity then is going to lead me to still be confident, still think I'm a big fish. Because I think that's sort of where my father was failed by the boxing community a little bit. He wanted to be a bit more involved in it, but found it a bit harder to do as he got older. Be involved with something like that. He felt like he should be included in the sort of the professional scene and wasn't any part of that. And there's a lot to be said for boxing. There can be a lot to be said against it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Before you got to that sort of age where you started thinking about it a bit more and maybe taking it to heart and losing that bit of confidence, was this something which you didn't really consider when you were really small?
I never noticed it. I think my mum said that I was bullied because of it from different parts, but I can't remember a lot of a really young age, and I think that was probably bullying. Apparently I had a teacher who used to embarrass me as well. When I
different time, mate, wasn't it, as well? Teachers and that.
No social media.
No, so they could get away with it.
Yeah.
Get away with saying all sorts of stuff then. They it's a weird thing, isn't it? So I had a car accident, didn't I, in 2008, and it took me ages to get my head around it. Probably too long, really, in terms of the effect that it had on other people.
Yeah.
But just stuff I will for 5 years I was in a wheelchair or on crutches, and I just didn't want to go nowhere. I didn't want to see anyone. Didn't want to. I was not interested in seeing anybody outside of my family and that, because I'd gone from one thing to the other. But I kind of now I don't give a shit. I kind of just whatever.
Being content.
Yeah, but I think it's part of it's getting older, because I sort of I care less about what people think of me now.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a natural progression of age. As you get older, you kind of just.
If you've got the right people around you, you will.
Yeah, I think that probably helps. And I was lucky. My missus is a legend. She, but she said I say it a lot. She stuck by me when load of when we had the accident 3 or 4 weeks after I got married.
Oh my god.
Or we got married, so she had sickness and health instant. And alright, 6 months, fine. Year, alright, it's hard, but we'll get through. She had it for 5 years of from both of us having good jobs to suddenly she was having to get me dressed, feed me and do food, do the house, do her full-time job, and we had 2 kids, and she was pregnant when we first happened. And a lot of women would have just at some point in that 5 years just gone, look,
I don't know.
I didn't sign up for this, and it's
Saying
brutal, mate.
Saying that me emotionally, because my wife's been nothing but a fucking rock for me, and got 3 kids and another one on the way, and she tries to be happy when I'm having a bad day, and she's a fucking legend.
Yeah, mate, it's proper, like, because behind every man there's a good woman. I believe that in, like, massively. Partially because I've experienced it myself, like, but like it's hard because even now, like, I'll have days, and like, funny enough, like the last probably 3-4 days, I felt not myself, and then she'll just say something or do something, like, she just make me laugh, and it's just like, it's those little things which just get you through when you're like struggling and that.
It's just I was solid emotionally. She's just ever reliant. She knows what she's doing all the time. And she get, there's different ways of inspiring people, and she's a big inspiration.
Yeah, it's good though, mate, because like, if like the shit hits the fan, or like things are getting stressful, or like things not going right, maybe something will go wrong, whatever, that you got that person who's got your back. And like, my thing is now, like, our kids are 18, 16, 14, like, a few years they're all going to do their own thing, and like, that's when I would like to have, whether it's built this up or built whatever up, to a point where I can go, right, come on, let's go do our own thing now, let's go, and we brought our kids up, they're off doing what they want to do.
Be a dream come true.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
The reason I wanted kids so young, so many kids so young, is because I always wanted a big family, and I always said I wanted them before 30. And when me and Emma are 50 now, we're going to be able to, hopefully, if we're both in the right position, we can do whatever the fuck we want to and enjoy our lives together.
That's it, mate. Yeah, and that's.
And I want to try and make sure that she sees that as well all the time.
Yeah, I think, like, the thing which worries me the most, I think even now, is like, sometimes I think that maybe she don't realise. I try to tell her, like, and she knows that I talk about it on a podcast, which I'm sure she doesn't appreciate all the time. But like for me, like, I wouldn't be here without her, because like, in that 5-year period, if I was a single bloke, I'd have topped myself 100%. And the only thing which stopped me was the fact that I had 2 young kids, like 6 and 4, another one on the way, and there was no way I was going to leave them and her to deal with the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
But like, if I had just been just a guy and had that accident, I wouldn't even be here. She like dragged me through, and she dragged me through like days where I didn't want to get out of bed, or I didn't want to go through the whole thing of her like showering me and doing food and that, and because she'd have to obviously try and do it before the kids come home from school or whatever, because she's got to do that and she's got to go to work. And like, some days I was like, I don't want to do it, don't want to do it, and it's a weird thing. But
You've got to find the right people, and I suppose you're both lucky that we found them, mate.
Yeah, big time, mate. And I think that's the thing, like, the right people is important, isn't it? Just generally, like, whether it's your partner or your friends or your family, or like, my circle of friends now compared to what it was in my 20s is vastly different. Like,
Well, you call everyone your friend in your 20s,
Or
in your early 20s.
But it's like, it's brutal, isn't it? Because like, you think people and again, like, maybe I'm lucky, maybe I'm unlucky, I don't know, but like, I was able to almost, or I went through stuff which meant that I found out which people would be there for me when the shit really hit the fan.
Yeah.
And
Like
which
the
people
filter.
weren't. Like,
the
filter, mate. Because there's people, and there's a friend of mine now who's ended up in prison, kind of his own fault, but like, and he would say that as well. But also, like, I won't turn my back on him just because he made a mistake. He didn't hurt anyone. He just made a bad choice. But like, he was there for me when other people weren't.
Yeah.
And I've watched again then with him where kind of word got out and that he had
Filter it.
yeah, and like I've seen it like from the outside looking at him, like I see people who was kind of with him, around him, talking to him all the time, asking him for stuff, and then now when he could do with a friend, like, and in these times a lot of them have
I
fucked off. Like,
I had a good mate of mine know that I was struggling a bit, and just the phone calls picked up a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? He's moved away, and I love him a bit still. We see each other when we can, but he's the best man at my wedding, and he still picks up the phone just to check him out. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's all you need, really.
yeah, and that's it, mate. That's like when I say that as well. Sometimes people. This one person said to me, like, what do you expect them to do? And I was like, just fucking
Talk.
like a text, man.
Yeah.
Just like, how are you doing? How much pain you in? What are you up to? Do you want me to come over? Whatever. Like, because the fact is, if they'd said, do you want me to come over? I would have said no.
No.
Do you want me to phone? I would have said no. I didn't want to speak to people. I didn't want to see each other, which I get sounds like a bit hypocritical almost, because you're like, well, you're moaning that these people weren't there for you, but you wouldn't have let them be there for you.
Yourself on
But
it,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, exactly that. I'm not going to force it. And a text saying, or the people who did text and go, you alright? Do you need anything? The ones who really stand out to me when I look back at it is the ones who text and said, does your missus need any help with something? Because to me that meant more than, are you alright? Because
you're thinking about what is
yeah, like what she's dealing with,
yeah.
like. But there was only a couple of them. So, you got a book coming out, mate, as well. No, you got a book out and another one coming out.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, I've got the first book which I published in 2020.
Insight.
It talks about an insight into what it's like being a professional boxer and what it's been like being an amateur boxer as well for me. And before I boxed on a golden contract, I co-main evented a Sky card in the historic York Hall. And there's like a month diary at the end of the book where I talk about at the start of the month I was supposed to be just on a small show padding out my record, and then by the end of the month I'm co-main eventing on a Sky card. So
that's cool.
That was my first book, and I've got the sort of the skeleton of my second book now, which is an insight further, and it'll be out in about 18 months, and yeah, it'll talk about going from punching to promoting and all the different aspects I've had to deal with, and my family's got bigger, a little bit about illness and like what it says on the book is an insight further.
I like it though, because like I think like when you look at all the different hats that you wear, I think you've got a lot to offer in terms of like giving people an insight into those different things.
It's not like a guide or anything. It's just
like
what I've
look into it,
experienced, and if you are interested in turning pro, you might want to read it and think, oh right, that's what they fucking try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives you a little look into it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So how did like writing a book come about in terms of as an idea? Was it your idea?
Yeah, I always wanted to. Yeah,
I want to write a book. I do. I don't know what about
Yeah.
and teenagers.
I banged out in like 16 hours, man. It was just creative flow, and I have these sort of creative states where I want to do things, and I've written the skeleton for a novel as well. And
you will have to tell me how to channel those creative because I have them, and I'm like, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'm fucking.
Do you know the key?
Like
notes on the phone.
But I'm like planning a live show and planning another podcast and planning this and planning. Oh, I'm gonna film this content, and then before I know it, I'm like, fucking.
How do I do all that? Yeah.
Then I'm sat outside smoking and having a cup of coffee, going, oh, why can't I never make these things fucking happen?
Yeah, so it's you got such a short life,
Focus,
really.
mate,
It's a bit of a short life, and you want to try everything.
Yeah, and I think like life is this weird thing, isn't it, where you're not here for very long.
No.
And like for a long time, my attitude was, particularly like in my teens and 20s, my attitude was just like, oh, fuck it, like not here for long, just do whatever. And that led me to do some stupid shit, like, which I probably shouldn't have done. But like, you know, like again, like with hindsight, like those memories, some of those memories are like the best of my life.
Yeah.
But also I look back as a 40-year-old man and think, fucking hell, how did I survive then? But it's ropey, like, but like, I guess the point I was making is you're not really here for long. You also don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And I think most people from like your age to my age and maybe a bit older, most people have like lost people or seen people hurt and things, and how quickly like things can change drastically. And again, like I said, like with my accident, like 1 minute we had all these plans, getting married, and then literally the next day it's like, whoa, fucking hell.
Change your life.
Yeah, different. It's life changing, and like your whole life is different. And like, I find it like upsetting sometimes when I'm talking to my kids, because I realise, like, I'm not naive and they're self-absorbed enough to know that like my health and situation has also contributed to their life being different. Like, they haven't gone abroad, like, because of me, like,
yeah.
and whereas if we hadn't had that accident, we'd probably gone abroad most years because we both had good jobs.
Yeah.
And like that is something which people don't always
Just a small thing like
take into consideration. Yeah, but like, you know, you're here for long, so you want to make an impact on people.
Yeah.
I just would like to, like, one of my favourite things about having people in here and talking to people on online shows and stuff is just like speaking to people, and just, which is ironic because I don't really generally, I put myself across as quite antisocial, and like I'm really super grumpy. It's wild. My missus says to me a lot, my kids say to me a lot, it's like I'm really grumpy, like, and like sometimes I have to be like reminded of, you've been a bit of a fucking grumpy asshole, like, but like I can come in here and speak to you, like I know we spoke before, so it's not like a thing, but I could come in here and speak to someone I've never met before.
Yeah, you can open up though. You can have an interest in something, and it can open you up, kind of. And that's the beauty of these podcasts and long form conversations in general, is you have an insight into, or you have an understanding of what other people actually go through. You know, like how many people would you walk past on the street and they never know your struggles? You never know what's happened to you. But you know, having an understanding of why you're a grumpy bastard is because of how your life's turned out in different aspects, you know, and or they can have an influence on why your mood might be down every now and again. And speaking to people about it can help you understand yourself more too.
Yeah, I like to try and like learn from people's other, like, you learn from your own experiences, but I also find that all the different people I speak to who are kind of like succeeding in these different things, whether it's boxing or music or football or whatever, they've all got different journeys and how they got there, but they've all got similar focus and creativity and whatever. But you can take like little bits of lessons and stuff, and I think long form conversation is definitely the way to go, mate. I think
you think
TikTok's destroying attention spans.
Think what you'd have done, you know, before the electricity. You just sat down and talked to people for fucking hours on end, wouldn't you?
Oh
You know what I mean?
It's not my worst fucking nightmare. Just having to listen to people. No, I'm joking. It's but like, it is weird. Like the correlation or the lack of correlation between me and day-to-day life and me and this is a bit weird to me sometimes. Yeah. But I do like it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
No.
And this it's been a pleasure, mate. I could sit here and just talk and talk and talk and talk, but I could best go rescue my son from after school detention and then his girlfriend's house.
Nice.
Yeah. So no, I can't say that actually. I just realised this is going to go actually out on the internet. So yeah. There we go. When's the next one? When's the next show out?
Right, so July the 1st is the next show. We're going to be doing a press conference on the Boxing in Wales YouTube channel 2 days before, so the Thursday, and on the Friday we're going to do the public weigh-in on the Boxing News YouTube channel. And if you want to keep up with any of the other news and which broadcaster is going to be popping it out, follow Kieran Gething on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the usuals.
And I'll put links to Boxing Wales, and I'll put links to Kieran's social medias, his book as well. Buy his book. They'll all be down below in the description. Please do subscribe to the channel, and also if you want to support the channel, price of a cup of coffee, patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. That literally keeps us going. It'll all any money raised from it goes back into the channel. We've got a lot of big plans coming for content, shows, and whatnot. So please do support us. Help us out. We're poor. Do it. Don't be such a skinflint. Do it. Do it now. No, nice one, guys. Kieran, it's a pleasure as always. Second time. Hopefully this one won't get lost.
No.
I will cry if that happens. But